everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the new Marvel Legends 6-inch Spider-Man Homecoming 2-pack featuring figures of Spider-Man and Iron Man. Now this set comes in a window box. Up at the top you've got the Legends series logo, then you've got the figures clearly displayed. Down below you've got the names of the characters and the Spider-Man Homecoming movie logo, since these are movie figures. Then on the side of the packaging you have some artwork for both Spider-Man and Iron Man, and then on the back of the packaging you have a look at both figures and a brief bio in multiple languages. Alright, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside the packaging along with their other contents. Now I've got to admit that when this set was first announced back in February during Toy Fair, I was pretty excited for it. I thought the unmasked Tom Holland Spider-Man was cool, even though the figure itself looked pretty much like the regular version. I was glad that we were getting that unmasked head. And then same with the Iron Man figure, even though it looked like it was going to be reusing parts from previous Iron Man movie figures, I was excited to get the most modern Iron Man armor for the collection. But having the set actually in hand now, I gotta say it's a bit on the disappointing side. There are some positives about it, but definitely I think they could have done a better job overall with it. So starting off with the Spider-Man figure, so we do get that unmasked Tom Holland head, and sculpting wise I actually think it looks pretty much like the actor. I think they've done a good job in that regard, and I like the skin tone, and paint applications overall are pretty solid on the head sculpt. I like the hair, you've just got that brown color, and they've done a pretty good job with the eyes on it. So no complaints with the sculpting or paint applications on the head sculpt. But my problem with it is when you look at it on the actual figure, it actually looks a bit too big. The head just comes off looking a little oversized to me for this body. Now, like with the regular release version, you get these web wings that are made with just a plastic, semi-translucent plastic that you can attach to the figure's arms. You've got the little holes on the arms and then the little slits, and you just fit them in there so it looks like he's got the glider wings like you see in the movie. And again, that's exactly the same that we saw with the regular release of this version of Spider-Man. And then besides the web wings, we also get an alternate head with this figure. So to switch out the head, you just pop off the head, it attaches with the ball joint. The second head is a masked head, so the one that's attached to the figure when you take it out of the packaging is the unmasked head, and then you do get a regular masked head. Now this masked head is a bit different from the previous Spider-Man figure that we got. The eyes are shaped differently. One eye looks like it's kind of squinting, so it is kind of weird. I know in the movie, the eyes would squint a bit, but I don't recall him squinting with just one eye, so I don't know why they did it like that. But you do get that different kind of eye expression with this alternate mask. And it's actually different, so if you've gotten all three tech suit Spider-Man figures, then the eyes are a little bit different on all three of them. So for the figure itself, this is the same sculpted figure that we got with the single pack release. The only difference between these two figures is with this box set version you get a closed fist for the left hand, and with that regular release version you get the web shooting hand. Now this closed fist is actually the same that we saw on the Civil War box set Spider-Man, so I believe it's the same fist, they just included it with this figure. Now these two over here, these Homecoming figures, differ from the Civil War version, mainly because it's got a more accurate spider symbol on the chest. That Civil War version had an inaccurate spider symbol, and then the sculpting is just a little bit different as well. Now the paint applications between these two versions, the box set and the regular release Homecoming Spider-Man figure, do differ a little bit. And one of the things I do like better about the Homecoming version is I do like this lighter color of blue that they used on the costume. I do think that's more in keeping with how it appeared in the movie. The reds are a little bit different shade, and they're not different enough that it really bothers me one way or the other. They're about equal. And then you've got the black and the sculpted webbing throughout the costume. You do have a little darker black on the webbing on this box set version, so it stands out a little bit more. And then also the black marks on the blue portion of the costume stand out a little bit more on this box set version as well. Articulation is the same as the regular release version. You can turn the head to the left and the right, and he can look down good and he can look up good as well. Can't really pivot the head much with this one. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder, so you can get his arm out good. You also have that butterfly joint, so you've got the back and forth movement. You've got good rotation with the arm. You've got the bicep swivel. You've got the double hinged elbow. You've got the rotation at the wrist, and you've got the hinges on the hands, so you've got the up and down movement. Then you have an ab crunch type joint, so he can crunch down good, and he can look back a bit, and you get that clicky noise. You've got a waist swivel. Legs are attached with ball joints, so you can do the splits about that much. You can get the leg forward good, and the leg out and back. You've got a thigh swivel. You've got a double jointed knee, so good bending at the knee, and then you've got hinges on the feet, so up and down movement, and you do have ankle pivot, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. So moving on to the Iron Man, the Mark 47, I've got a number of complaints with this one. So my biggest complaint, I think, is that the red paint throughout the figure does not match. So the red on his torso here doesn't really match the red here on his lower arms or in his feet. It's a little bit different shade. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but in the light you can definitely tell it's a bit different shade. And so I think that looks a little bit awkward. And then just this figure is just a straight repaint of the Mark 46 armor, the Captain America Civil War armor. It is just an exact repaint. There's no new sculpting at all on this figure. They just basically repainted it to look like the Mark 47 from Homecoming. For accessories on Iron Man, you get a blast effect. So you only get one with this one, mainly because he's only got one open hand. The right hand is a closed fist, so you can only stick this in the left hand. And you can also stick it in the feet if you want to. Now, since you only got one with this figure, it looks kind of funny, but if you have this blast effect from other Iron Man figures, you can also put these in the feet. So it looks like his boot jets have been activated. And then the final accessory you get is this helmet without any head in it, basically an empty helmet, because in the movie, you know, he goes around with the armor where he's actually not inside the armor, and the thing opens up and there's nobody inside. So that's what this is to mimic. Now, we've seen this head sculpt before, only with a face in it. So this is the same head sculpt, only they've removed the Stark face in it. And, you know, it's kind of cool that they gave us. Again, this is something you see in the movie, so I am glad that they added that to the figure. Switching out the heads is easy. You just pop off the one head and pop on the second head. It attaches with a ball joint. Now, one thing I do want to notate, and again, this is kind of something that's on this entire figure that I don't like. The red is a little bit different color on the helmet here than on the body. It's kind of a, I don't know, it's a fluorescent red almost that you see throughout the body of this figure, which I don't really like. I like the red that they use on the chest here, but I don't like this more kind of fluorescent or purplish red that they use kind of up here on the helmet, and again here on the lower arms, and even here on the feet. If they maybe used a little more metallic silver for this, these middle portions of the figure. So articulation on this one is the same with the Mark 46. You can turn the head to the left and the right, and he can look down pretty good, and he can look up about that much. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder. Now, he does have the shoulder pad, so that limits some of the movement. You can get the arm out about that much. You can rotate it without any issue. You've got a bicep swivel. You've got a double hinged elbow, so you can bend about that much, and then you've got rotation at the wrist and hinges on the hands, so you've got up and down movement with the hands. You do have a midsection joint where you can rotate. Really can't crunch down though. Can look back a little bit, back and forth a little bit, but not too much. You can pivot to the left and the right a little bit there at the midsection. No waist swivel. Legs are attached with ball joints, but can't really do the splits very well. That's about as much as you can do the splits. Get his leg forward about that much, and can do the leg out and back. Does have a thigh swivel up high, double jointed knees, so good bending at the knee, and then with the feet you got hinges, so you've got some up and down movement, and you do have ankle pivot with this, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. So Iron Man stands just a little bit over 6.5 inches tall, and Spider-Man stands just under 6 inches tall. Okay, here's a comparison of the Mark 47 with other Iron Man movie figures, as well as 2 War Machine movie figures. Here's a close-up comparison again with the Mark 46, which is the exact same figure sculpt-wise, but I still like the 46 better because I think the paint applications are much more solid. The red you can see on this 47, it varies and just looks off to me with this kind of violet neon color that they've used throughout the figure. Again, I like the red on the 46 much better than the 47. And again, here's a comparison with the 3 different tech suit Spider-Man figures that we've gotten. So this is the Civil War box set version, and this is the regular release version, and all 3 are the same height. Here's a comparison with the 4 different Spider-Man Homecoming figures we've gotten. So the Vulture, the tech suit Spider-Man, the homemade Spider-Man suit figure, and Iron Man. Here's a comparison with Civil War Captain America and Black Panther with the Iron Man and Spider-Man figures. And for one final comparison, here's a look at my makeshift Tony Stark figure using the chameleon body with the unmasked head that came with the Civil War box set. along with the Iron Man and the Spider-Man figure. Okay, so that's my review. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I definitely have some issues with this set. With the Spider-Man figure, I like the Tom Holland head. I think they did a good job sculpting wise and even paint application wise. However, I do think it's a little oversized for this body. I think it just looks a little funny on the figure itself. And then with the Iron Man figure, I don't really like the paint applications on it. And then just the fact that it's a straight up repaint of the Mark 46 is a bit disappointing to me as well. Now, if you want the Mark 47, then unfortunately this is the only way to get it, at least if you're sticking with Marvel Legends. But like I said, I definitely have some issues with this set. Now, this set is available now. You can get it pretty much anywhere. We'll have a full image gallery up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.